Okay, so welcome back. Again, we're doing another video, and this time we're talking about T.I., the King of the South. Obviously, he said something about thought sliding, thought prevention, trying to do all this good stuff to prevent his daughter from going down. Okay, guys, we're back with another video, and today, once again, I'm here with Jen and Juice and Neek, my sister. And we're going to be talking about T.I. and what he said with the whole thought protecting his daughter type of a thing. Yeah, we know he said that one time before, something about his daughter, just making sure she's a virgin. So now I'm going to pass this on to Jen, and let's see how you feel about what he said last time about her keeping her to be a virgin and the little thought prevention thing.
Okay, so just for anyone who does not know what's going on, a few months back, T.I. said something about him being present at his daughter's OBGYN appointments to make sure that her hymen is still intact. If anyone don't know what a hymen is a layer of skin that is in a woman's vagina. If she's a virgin, it's there. If it's not there, then she's not. He got a lot of backlash for that for obvious reasons. And now, more recently, he said something about him spending time with his daughter is for thought prevention hours to keep her off the pole or for her to be less promiscuous. I'm not sure. Something along those lines. Those weren't his exact words, but that's the general idea.
Yeah.
Now, for me, the thing that is bothersome is the fact that this is now the second time that he is saying something that is very I don't know
what is you want to say, distasteful, or you feel a little controversial,
like very like I don't want to say, it's just like, God, I can't think of the word. What's the word I'm thinking? Like a man trying to like dominate, like it's very much like he's trying to be, he's overbearing, I think. Like you're her father, but you're not the gatekeeper to her vagina. Like I feel like he is overstepping his boundaries in terms of what a father should be in terms of his daughter's sex life or activities or things like that. The first time he said that he has to make sure that her hymen is intact, which I understand as a parent, you would be concerned if your daughter is having sex, well, unprotected sex, things of that nature. I understand that, but to say that, oh, you have to make sure that her hymen is still intact is kind of intrusive, for one, with her privacy. And as a parent, I feel like it's overstepping, and in turn, the daughter expressed how it made her very embarrassed, very uncomfortable. And I would imagine that you would feel uncomfortable with your father talking about something like that. Like, no one wants that.
Yeah, it's kind of personal.
Right. And I just feel like he has to stop. Like, he's not going to stop, obviously, because he received so much backlash the first time. And now he's just back at it like thought prevention hours, when it's supposed to be something where you're spending quality time with your daughter. But instead of it being that, it's thought prevention hours. His mind is just in the wrong place.
Okay. So, Neek, how do you feel? I mean, because I do agree with some of the things that you said, Jen. But Neek, how do you feel about it?
Well, from listening to the rest of the interview, I didn't listen to the entire thing, but I listened to more than just the part about the thought prevention. I don't think he meant it from how he said it. It wasn't literally like, okay, thought prevention hours like that, but basically meaning like, okay, if you're not in your daughter's life, you get what I'm saying, and being a man, and showing her how she's supposed to be treated as a lady. Of course, he chose a terrible analogy for it, and he used an awful example. But you know, being around a lot of women, being around, living in Atlanta, and in the stripper, like the capital of strippers being, you know, born pretty much. It was kind of like, I think he ran into a lot of women, had a lot of conversations with a lot of women, and hearing their background story, I think a lot of it, and as we know, even if they didn't make it to the poll, we know what absentee father women look like, fatherless women look like, you know what I'm saying? Not knowing what, you know, real love look like, not knowing what it sounds like to be heard that you're, you know, you're pretty, you're worth it, you're worth waiting for, or, you know, just not being able, like you said, go take on some trips, have her do this, that, and the third. But I think it's not so much as thought prevention hours today, but in the long haul, it'd be like, okay, she's not so hungry because the dude is throwing some money at her or throwing a trip at her, or, you know what I'm saying, whatever it is. It's kind of like, okay, you know your worth, you know, you've seen all of these things before, so you're not so, you know, amped up to, you know, go do whatever it is for a couple of dollars, or to go to that trip that you want to go on, or to get that bag, or whatever it is. It's like, you know, I kind of get, as bad as it sounds, I get what he was trying to say. I do think that it was put out awfully. I think that the way that it was interpreted was very, very bad, especially hearing that clip. And that's the only part that's going around the internet, and that's the part that went viral, but nothing else. I think it's bad, you know.
Yeah, I think it's how you choose to look at it. Me personally, I think that sometimes what people do, they follow the trends. Right now, that's the word thot. That's what's out. That's what some people is going to use. I really do feel like what he is saying is, which every dad or brother, which I know I experienced this. Actually, my brother got my dad on the train to being more watchful with me and looking and making sure that I'm not, you know, doing anything I don't supposed to do, being easy, because, you know, as a female, if a guy do approach you when you're young, you take everything that they say and you kind of, you smile about it, not knowing like, okay, guess what? He really don't care. He can care less. He just want to do something with you. But I do thank him. I thank my brother for that. I really do, because he really did stop me from becoming, if you want to say thot, ho, however you want to say it. He stopped me from going down that direction. So now, you know, well, even before, I can look at someone and the guys that was so popular that would talk about, you know, the females and what they did. I knew, no, I'm going to stay away from you. I don't like the way you move. I don't like, so long how I think that's what he's talking about. Not to mention that, okay, also, you don't want your daughter to do this, but you have done a lot of stuff to your wife. You got to be able, because if she wanted to return the favor and say, okay, Dad, you don't want me to be this way, but you be around these ladies all the time. On the, you know, you've been caught with these ladies cheating. And maybe that's the reason. I mean, we know that's not the reason. It's his daughter.
But of
They're
course,
protective.
but I think as, you know, being a man and having a daughters and stuff like that, you're going to, you know, and not so much like, you know, some people overdo it. Absolutely. Of course, you can go on with like, okay, a simple conversation and trying to teach certain things like, look, because you do understand the difference between like, look, the minute that somebody, you know, sleep with you, or they feel like you easy, or whatever it is, no matter how great of a girl you are, you know, your you know, your your worth goes way down after that.
Yeah.
They feel like, okay, well, she was easy. So even if you just like that one guy and you gave it to this one guy super easy because you liked him, you know, now, you know, he's going to start saying, well, like, nah, she did that to everybody. Ain't no special to no other person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So with that, I feel like, you know, people try to, you know, you want somebody to love your daughter, to treat her the right way and have that respect for her. And of course, you can do all of these things. And, you know, there's some girls that still going to sneak out and do whatever it is they want to do. You get what I'm saying? So I don't think there's no real way to say, okay, well, you know what, you ain't going to be this type of girl, or you can't be this type of way. Only thing you can do is do your best and that's kind of it. But I can understand, you know, the reason why some men are the way they are when it comes down to their daughters, because you want somebody to respect them, and you know.
Well, okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just have to get this out, right? I feel like this culture is so dead set on women.
Yeah.
You say, okay, I'm going to put in all this time with my daughter. I'm going to make sure that she's not thotting and bopping. I'm going to make sure that she's this type of wholesome woman, while you telling your son to go out there and bang every girl that he sees and he wants. The problem is one-sided.
Yeah.
You go and you make this big deal about your daughter keeping herself. And the same thing for brothers. My brother was like a prison guard when it came to me. I couldn't even be outside if boys were outside.
Yeah.
Because he felt like he had to protect his sister against men like him.
Yep.
He had to protect his sister against him.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like, where are the fathers? What are they doing in terms of their sons? What are they teaching their sons? How can you try to so hard to solve the problem on one end, but then you have this snake completely going wild on the other end? It just doesn't make sense to me how we are so wrapped up in, you know, all about girls and what they're doing, but then we're not teaching that same thing to our sons. Like Cynthia mentioned earlier, you want your daughter to save herself for this man or to get old enough for this man, but you don't contribute to that same type of man in this world. Yeah. Your wife can't even count on you to be that type of man for her. Where's your daughter going to get this man from if your sons, you're not...
Wait a minute, Jen. Wait. Hold up. Now, I just, for 1 second, I thought I was finna go into a Holy Ghost heart attack and say, yes, preach it, because it cannot be, which you are so... I'm going to stop listening, guys. If you hear it's a silence in this room for 1 second, it's because I probably just felt the Holy Ghost. It's still running through my veins. And you know what? Sometimes with what you just said, it is, you hit so many hard corners that, see, some people can't play pool, so they don't know, but you just hit it really well. And that is something which we know females is always the type that say, okay, if you get pregnant, it's gonna show. Whatever you do is gonna show. I've been told, you know, if something goes on, your life slow down, not the guy's. His life don't slow down. He continue to go, be successful. And yes, you have to probably play catch up in order to do those things. But like you just said, we have to let it be equal to start teaching and raising our sons too. Like, listen, you got to have some character about yourself. Yes, I understand you can't get pregnant. I know nobody would never say, oh, you're a man whore. Even if they said, people still are going to want to talk to you, because it doesn't matter how many people you sleep with. Being a guy, it is never going to matter. But, you know, once we, like you just said, once we start to talking to our sons, talking to the young men to come, like, listen, you have to really say, I've heard people say you come from a different cloth, but you really have to stand out and say, no, listen, I come from a totally different cloth. This is not the behavior that you like. This is not me. Like, I ain't just saying I don't have fun. I have some fun being a guy, but I'm not wild like that. Right. You know, and that is.
And I think that comes from the black families being fatherless most of the times, where these little boys are raising themselves. They have no real man in the home to show them how to be wholesome men. And I think T.I. also mentioned something about, okay, well, she can get pregnant, where the term pregnant is on both ends. If the girl is pregnant, the guy is pregnant. And that's something that lacks in the black community as well. And again, I can only speak of the black community because this is the community that I'm from. I don't know about anybody else, but so I only can talk about this. Yeah. But even the NBA young boys of the world, you know, it's that same notion of the boy can't get pregnant, so you can jump from Susan to Sally to Martha and get all of them pregnant practically at the same time. Yeah. But the burden of all of that is on the girl. you're free, you're home free, you're scot free because you're a man. You know, it's just it's that lack of responsibility that is placed on black men. It's the excuses that we give these black men to be whores.
Yeah.
It's the excuses that we give them, you know, to be careless.
Yeah.
And I feel like that narrative needs to change. If we take all of that we put into girls and we put it into the guys as well, these guys will have respect for themselves and realize that I can't go and stick my penis into every single girl and, you know, just forget about the consequences. Now you have a bunch of fatherless kids again.
Yeah. And it
It's
just
just
keeps
a cycle
going.
that continues, and that needs to change. I feel like T.I. and the message that he's pushing out, this dominant message of we have to protect no, it's not protection. It's smothering. It's all of these different things where that energy needs to be placed on your sons. What are your sons doing right now while you're in this interview? What are they doing? Do you know what they're doing?
But Jen, you can't. Here's the thing, right? I feel like, you know, from a realistic standpoint, I do feel like, of course, you know, you're gonna have that conversation with your sons, with your boys, and stuff like that, right? But I feel like a lot of dudes are not as attached emotionally. So when certain things happen, they don't, you know, they're not gonna deal with things in the same way. They're not wired the same way, right? As a woman would be.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be some certain things you can tell them, like, look, you know, you want to find you one nice girl, you know, and stuff like that. It's still gonna have to run its course. It's still gonna have to be like when you're ready and things like that. It's always gonna be, you know what I'm saying, something like that. But the thing, but also you have to teach what the world is giving right now, right? Of course, you can teach your sons whatever you want to, right? But you know, for the most part, the way that the men are and the way that the men think, right? So you want to protect your daughter from that, right? You don't really hear people talking about, oh, hey, listen, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of women rapists out there, so you want to make sure you're being careful and not walking at night by yourself at nighttime.
Yeah.
You know, it's different. You get what I'm saying? So of course, you're gonna try to protect your daughter, not have her run into the wrong type of person, the wrong type of guys, going from one guy to the next guy to where she's dealing with it through alcohol, through pills, through whatever it is, or just, you know, we know people that have went through, you know, heartbreaks and hard times and have to deal with it the best way that they know how. Meanwhile, you know, the dude go on with the rest of his life like nothing don't happen. And dude move on much faster than the females normally do.
Yeah, normally within the next 24 hours, they've been
Like
picked up the pieces.
It's like it never happened. So that's the thing. It's like you want to protect your daughter from that type of hurt and that type of disappointment by picking out the right guy the first time. I know a lot of times it's not going to be the first time, but from a realistic standpoint, yeah, we can say, okay, let's get all of the guys in order and let's, you know, work on our sons and try and this, that, and the third. But, you know, there's only a few guys that think the way that you do if you are thinking like that about your sons. But what about all the other 80% of the dudes out there that's teaching that, yeah, all right, son, you still got your little girlfriend, huh? You know what I'm saying? And you proud versus your daughter is different. I'm not saying that it's right, but that's just what it is. That's the reality of it. So you want to prepare her for that.
But you know what? Also, I feel this because I know someone told me that their brother and dad was very hard on them. It was very hard on them. Didn't want them to go nowhere. You couldn't do nothing and all that other kind of stuff. So basically, you controlled her. You kept her in the house. Don't go do this, but that wasn't good because she still did not understand how men play. Yeah. You just wanted to, you know, my thing is this. It's not so much of, I'm going to tell you what has to happen too, because we can't forget when you are young, you're going to experience what young people experience, which is hormones, and you're going to do all kind of stuff. Maturity will come when it comes, but you can't just talk about something. You actually have to represent it. So me personally, I have a very high standard when it comes down to a guy in how you talk to me, how you're going to treat me, what you're going to do. Even if I decided that I'm going to take your crap, it may not be that long. But if I decide to say that, because my dad was easygoing. He wasn't the type, yelling type. He wasn't whatever. So that part there, I carry with me all the time. I'll put somebody in I'll put him in this place really quick with certain things. But I do feel like little girls will respect it more and understand it more when you're not fussing and keeping them and trying to whoop them not to become what you like. And when I say like what you like is the females you choose to go out and play with. Yeah. If you're in the home and they see mommy and daddy in the household, how he treats the mom, how he's going about it, and plus looking at this stuff that goes on in the world, eventually, guess what? It clicks in like, you know what? Boy, I ain't got to take that from you, because one thing about it, I have always seen my dad open up the door. I've always seen my dad, even if my mom was yelling, he just, okay, calm yourself down, or X, Y, and Z. You can kind of say, okay, this is what I want, because I seen my dad do it. It's hard to just keep talking to somebody, but you're not showing them how to be. Like, you just, hey, you already know how those guys is. You don't want to be no hoe, do you? So, hey, I'm telling you, if you do it, I'm going to beat the crap out you. Then I'm going to go see him. Then I'm going to do this. How is that showing her how it's done?
And she go out there and want somebody just like you.
Yeah. Or fall for the guy that is playing. And still to this very day, we have women that are so easy in mind. I'm saying easy. I'm not saying on the sexual side, but so easy where are feeling so lonesome where, you know what, I need a man. You go get a man and you don't care 2 cents to even look that he ain't looking at you. He looking at your daughter. He can care 2 cents about you. You're not even, like, you can't even tell the patterns that, okay, guess what? Do he spend time with you, but you still find yourself trying to love him? Like, girl, he don't want you. But you don't know it because you fall for anything first that they say, because you don't know how to respect yourself, and you don't know, I guess, how things look to take it. You just want to be in that world and say, girl, I got a man, do you know what year this is, 2020, I ain't trying to be by myself. I got somebody like it.
Yeah, that's true too. But I think with T.I. though, honestly, and of course, like I keep saying, of course, I think that he need to, have a better way of explaining himself. I do feel like, I know he loves his daughters. I know he loves his sons. I know he has a relationship, with all of his children, regardless of, whatever. And of course, you can't, for lack of better words, you can't be no preacher, but then out here, the same message that you're trying to preach, you out here doing the same sin. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and I get it. You know what I'm saying? You're young, you're rich, you've been rich, you're a millionaire and everything like that. So you're going to be faced with temptation. And, some people are not even going to try to fight it. And who knows? Maybe you have been fighting it, and the times you got caught was the times you got caught. Yeah. But, the thing is, I think that the hard part for people to understand is like when you want to have that type of relationship, you know what I'm saying, like with your daughters and things like that, as far as like trying to protect them, you do have to come a little bit more delicate than that. You do have to come across with a better message than just, yes, with certain words you say. Like even Kevin Hart got in trouble for, although it was a joke about, seemed like she had the whole, tendencies or whatever it is. You got to understand, when you're talking about your daughters, you have to be a little bit more softer than that. You have to be a little bit more delicate than that when you're trying to explain something or trying to get a point across. Especially these days, people going to take everything you say and they're going to take it to a literal sense. People only heard what you said. They didn't hear none of that other stuff after that about, explaining, well, you can't really be mad if she doing this, that, and the third if you wasn't there for her. Yeah. If you ain't there, you ain't being a father.
But also, like what you just said with that, I really do think, and I think, Jen, you said it one time too, not now, but on another video that we did, that we're living in a world where everybody is so sensitive. You have to kind of like you're basically like, okay, let me not cut the corner with speaking about that or something. And I really do think, like, even with the Kevin Hart thing, nobody said, like, okay, dang, you is a hoe. We're saying hoe prevention. Like, you don't want to be. It's the same thing what my brother, dad, whatever did, even though they didn't say those words, but they did say, I don't want you to be this way. They're out. So for us as females, we don't go. I mean, you could probably go out.
Smarter for you though, Cent. That was good. That worked for you. But imagine how many other girls, right? That, you know, people was protecting them from everything, and then I feel like they come out worse, right? The reason why, because they don't know the game. So guess what? They're going to be hurt worse, because guess what? Whatever that dude come and say to her or whatever, she all skinning and grinning, because guess what? It ain't your daddy, it ain't your brother. This is the first type of male interaction outside of your daddy and your brother, and they saying what all the things that you want to hear, or all the things you've been watching on TV and you've been waiting to hear. And so that, even that from, you know, I don't feel like you can do, like me and Jen always talk about parenting or whatever, and how you can't be too strict, you can't be too soft. You have to meet in the middle of these things. Like, so being like a T.I., okay, that's too strict, you're too involved, right? Yeah. You know, and I understand what you're trying to do,
and how can we even say too, just not, you know, to be honest, even down to that, he went to the doctor's office. How could we even say that he truly went? You know, if it was just like, okay, yeah, you know, I try to even, because if you look at T.I.,
he said he always go.
He said that, but his daughter ain't said. Now, my thing is this, with T.I., he's like a leader with his family. He that's the role he likes to take. Who's to say, like, okay, you know what, he was saying it like in a way, yeah, and then you know, I want to make sure. But I think if we can kind of, for 1 second, kind of sort of take stop being so sensitive to what someone says and saying, like, okay, you know what, it does mean the same. My brother did this, like I said, to me really bad. And, you know, I was being abused. I hate to say it, but we're on the TV. I was being abused not to be like this. But honestly, it started from when I was like in the 2nd grade. This guy gave me a necklace, and my brother sitting up there having a whole full conversation in the kitchen with my mom and dad, talking about, oh yeah, you know, once a boy give you something, what he gonna want? And it's like, whoa, I'm in the 2nd grade. What do he want? And so my mom and dad had to tell him, like, wait a minute, hey, wait, now that's to come. He didn't know. He took his mom necklace. I thought that was so sweet too. Now that I think about it, took his mom little necklace off the dresser and gave it to me. You know, but that was something. But what I am trying to say is this: yes, once, you know, we know where they're coming from, but also what it did for me was it just helped me to realize that, you know what, yes, I'm gonna have a boyfriend. Now, if I choose to go all out and be, you know, a thot or whore for him, hey, we both don't mind that. But I'm not gonna be that way with everybody, because I know that my reputation will follow me. You know, you get a reputation being a female, and it will follow you everywhere you go. You can go freaking die, and it's still going to be like, yeah, you know, dang, you remember when she was a hoe? Like, that girl never stopped. And you know, but I think, like how Jen said, I think we need to sit down. We got to start sitting down with our daughters, with our sons. They are the future, and we do have to start letting them know, listen, times change, gotta be this way, but also be respectful, because then it would start cutting the cost. We know guys are still gonna cheat. That's something they're gonna always do. But at least it will cut certain things out to where more women will have a chance to fall in love and not be played so hard. Once we start putting that into the guys and the dads start to actually tell them, like, look, it ain't nothing wrong with it. If you want to love that one girl, that's fine.
But you know the thing that bothers me about all of this? The same guys, like I said, it's the same guys, hypocrites, that's out there doing all of the damage, that wants to come back and say this about the girls. But in turn, it's a pathology. You know, your daughter sees these things happening in the home, what you're doing to her mom. And sad to say, but a lot of times they're going to go after guys. It's either going to go one or two ways. Either they're going to go after guys that's just like you, and all of that effort that you put in and all of that goes to, you know, goes to nothing because she's attracted to what she sees, or, you know, that's what she grew, that's all she knows. So that's what she gravitates towards. Or she's going to hate everything about the relationship dynamic that you created in the household, and she goes completely different.
Yeah.
And she's very, you know, she's very cautious about who she dates. Either way, I don't feel like anything that you've taught her worked in terms of, okay, I'm going to tell you this and you're going to listen to it. She can't listen to you because, number one, you're not practicing what you preach.
Yeah.
Now, you said that your brother was a certain way with you because he didn't want you to be a certain way. And I think a lot of the reason why you weren't that way is because you didn't grow up with a cheating father. You didn't grow up and see your dad cheating on your mom and having to deal with, you know, your mom, the arguments and all of this, just the chaos in the household. I feel like that does a lot to girls where they go after a certain guy that's just like their dad. 9 times out of 10, we're going to go after the guy that's like our dad. Our dad is our first love. Whether he's a good man, a bad man, whatever it is, that's who we're going to go for. Yeah. And whether we learn from that later on, that's later on. But a lot of the girls, these girls get tossed around a lot of the times because they are searching for their dad in men.
So, Jen, let me ask you something. Because you said, because those are very good points. Now, what would you say? Okay, now we're going to just change it for once. Now, if you, let's just say you had a daughter or a niece or whatever, and you see their behavior, you see how they're acting, and it is like they're going into those ways, and then all of a sudden you didn't see how their behavior. How would you now address it, knowing that, okay, look, you kind of got now, you know, because families do sometimes get that word on the street that, you know, their loved ones was doing this and they're that. How would you now handle that? What would you tell your daughter? What would you tell your niece coming from being a mom? Forget the dad point of view. What would you say now if that does happen and it's too early and she's being, you know, out there like that?
I mean, I would definitely, you know, try to sit down and talk to her and have her to understand that her body is sacred, number one, and she shouldn't, you know, be bouncing around from one person to the next. But talking only can go so much. At the end of the day, I feel like the child is going to do what they want to do. Yeah. You know, as a parent, we want to feel like, and I'm not a parent, but I'm just speaking from what my mom had to go through with me. I'm sure she felt like she could fix everything. You know, she would talk my ear off. Yeah. And I would still be like, you know what, I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. I'm just going to let her talk. You know, once she get through, I'm just going to go back to doing what I'm doing. I feel like we want to believe that as parents, I feel like they want to believe that they can fix everything or do anything, do all of that. I think some of these things just have to run its course. And of course, you wouldn't want it to be your child is having sex with this guy, that guy, this guy, that guy. Yeah. But if she does have a father in her life, maybe he can step in, but still then it's not guaranteed that that's going to work. I mean, some things you just,
So you wouldn't know how to handle it.
I wouldn't know what to do, honestly. Okay. You could talk.
So that's
you could talk. No, but you could talk to people, Nee. But at the end of the day, you gonna beat it out of her?
No, not beat it out of her. But I feel like before you get to that point, like you say, if she's already doing it, and I think that's what people be trying to do is trying to prevent you from doing certain things, right? Like they had something called drug prevention, dropout prevention, you know, all of these things. To where that is okay, we're trying to get you into certain little, you know, situations or certain type of camps or conversations or therapy, counseling, whatever, to keep you from getting into this point, right? Yeah. So since there's no such thing as a thought prevention, so to speak, you know what I mean? You want to, you know, line up certain activities, you know, because yes, there's conversations, and like you say, a conversation only going to go so far, right? So,
but isn't that just being a parent?
Yeah,
that's being a parent.
Right, but that's the reason why he said what he said. He said, listen, take your daughter on trips. Take her out. Take her, this, that, and the third. Because, if you're not there and you're not a father, you can't be mad if she out there and she starts to strip. She's at Magic City. She's doing this, that, and the third, and it is true. You get what I'm saying? If a girl is fatherless and she don't have no type of experience with a man except for a couple of sweet nothings in your ear, and then next thing you know, that's it, because you haven't been there to show her no real love.
And I don't disagree with you with that. I just think, when I think about it, I just think, okay, and maybe I'm being anal about it because I didn't like the way that he said it.
Yeah, the delivery was bad.
The delivery was terrible. But it's just off-putting, and it puts a bad taste in your mouth. It's just like, okay, are you on these trips thinking, oh, yeah, I'm with her, so she wouldn't be out there with these men. It darkens the message. It just makes it, I don't know. It just makes
but
it.
To say this too, like, even though, you're trying to prevent this, I feel like too, with the moms and grandparents, whoever, even if the man is not there, we also have to be able to teach our daughters, nieces, ourselves how to love ourselves, how to value yourself, because these are the women that gotta grow up that is going to get into that mind frame of, okay, guess what? I don't care about the next female, nor did I care about her relationship. I didn't care if he was married. I still slept with him. Yeah. I did not care. Yes, I already know my body is bad. It's rapped about. It's talked about. So, yes, I did sleep with your man. So what? That there also have to stop, because it's a lot. Forget a thought prevention. It's a lot of women that don't have nothing for themselves, and you feel it's okay if you feel like you're young or your body looks way better than somebody. Like, girl, please, did you not just see your man look at me? Or something, you don't care for the respect. Like, you just, I already know I'm bad, so what? And then we're raising those types too. And these are the types that T.I. and the rest of them love. They love those types.
But it's not only just, because, whether the father's in the house, whether the father's not in the house, I feel like it's all, like, even girls that have dads in the house, but they're too quiet. Yeah. Where they don't have a conversation with their daughters at all. It's the same thing as an absentee father. If you're not the type of dude that's going to step up and talk to your daughters, and say, like, hey, look, you know what I'm saying, this, that, and the third. Don't just be there, and this is just
sitting around like a bug on a wall.
Yeah, because we're going to, I guess have to wrap this up pretty soon. Yeah. But it's just the fact that, long story short, for anybody who might listen to this, whether it's the husbands or the baby daddies or whoever it is, whatever you're doing, to put yourself out there in a way, even if you quiet, you laid back, or even if you loud and you wild or whatever, come to your daughter delicately. Talk to your daughter in a realistic way and explain to her what's going on out here. And, not calling it thought prevention hours, but to get together with your daughter and spend some time with her and things like that, to where that she can know what it's like to experience certain things. It's not her first time all the time with some dude who might just got some money, because what's money to a dude that got it? Let's be honest. Always was her first time going here or there. And now it's just easy. It's that much easier now, because you didn't take that time up that you could have took up with your child.
Yeah. So, and also trying to just tell them, because I have not heard no men saying this yet either, but trying to just tell them that, okay, look, the reason why I'm this way with you or whatever is not, let's cut the thing, not just so much as you're a girl, but your reputation. Men don't respect you once you get a name for yourself. Right. Once that name get out there.
And who want to keep moving from city to city? I've seen girls have to move a whole nother state. Yeah. Just so they can have a
just chance. So. But too, I want to say this too. My son love him to death. He's so sweet. He said today to me he wanted to go somewhere, and I said no. And so for the first time, I did see him get a little emotional, where he had to tell me, like, Mom, when you gonna let me do something? Like, you don't let me go places, or don't let me do something. So, like, how would I know? How am I gonna learn? So that there, honestly, it hit me in a different way being a parent and knowing that, you know what, regardless what my son just said is so true. I don't want him out there like that, but he has to. That's the only way he also is going to learn. When we just have to throw them out there. I hate to say it. And they have to see it for themselves in order to know, like, okay,
the earlier
this,
they learn,
this is what it is, you know?
And the earlier you learn, the better. Ain't no point of you getting out there all old and you late with
Yeah.
everything and not
And
knowing
everybody
that.
running circles around you.
Yeah.
Child,
You
it's
know?
a mess.
So we have to do that. But, Jen, do you have anything to
Any
say? We
last
kind
words
of,
and
you know.
My last words are, I think we need to be more widespread with our concern with both our daughters and our sons.
Yeah.
I think we have to have a united front in the household. Mothers, talk to your sons. Fathers, talk to your daughters, because we are creating broken men and women if that is not done.
And I agree.
I agree with that too.
Thank you.
Pretty much the same message. You know, be involved in your children's lives. Have those hard conversations. I know, sex in general. We don't even like to say the word sex around our children, but it's better for them to learn from the mothers and the fathers than to learn from somebody who's their own age and they just telling you whatever it is that they need to hear. So, have those hard conversations. Teach your children about knowing their self-worth, so that way they don't get played one way or the other. Like Jen said, needs to be a widespread message, because there's a lot of hurt dudes that then got played and falling for the wrong girl and vice versa.
Yeah.
So that's just it. Spread the message to everybody in the house.
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna end it there. And also, guys, we want to say we love the feedback that you guys are giving us. If
thank you.
Yeah, we really do thank you for that. We just love it. If you have a topic or anything that you do want to talk about, or you want us to speak on it, please, inbox us. Now, my email is going to be at the bottom, and my sister's and Jen's is also going to be on the description, down below in the description box, all their stuff. So if you guys want us to speak on something, you can. Jen, you have Instagram and all that stuff?
Yes.
Okay, so that was on the last video where we did put all their stuff there. So it does not matter which one it is. Just inbox us something if you catch something before we do and you want us to discuss it. And we're out.
All right.
Okay, so welcome back. Again, we're doing another video, and this time we're talking about T.I., the King of the South. Obviously, he said something about thot sliding, thot prevention, trying to do all this good stuff to prevent his daughter from going